Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Jurassic World Escape and Stomp Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, this figure, I remember it got leaked all the way back in very early, either early 2021 or late 2020, so around the fall and winter. The first prototype image of this figure got leaked, and I just remember thinking, man, this just looks absolutely appalling. Why? It just looked so bad. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm all set with this. But sure enough, more pictures of the figure came out that looked a lot better. In fact, really good, if I'm being honest. And a few months later, the figure finally gets released, and I actually got this like a couple days ago, as of me uploading this. Of course, I'm uploading this on a Tuesday, so I got it like Sunday. So yeah, the figure's out, and what do I have to say? Well, let's take a closer look. So, to start, of course, we'll take a look at the paint. And the painting on this figure is actually pretty good for a Mattel figure. It's not perfect. There are some things that I do differently, very minor things, but overall, the painting on this figure is pretty rad. So, let's take a closer look. So, of course, most of the body here is this dark shade of brown, which I think looks really nice, really complements the figure. Of course, on the back here, we have some blackish brownish markings, which I think looks really nice. It would have been nice if this continued throughout the figure, like if this continued to the tail here. I think that would have looked really cool, but honestly, it's not the end of the world. The underside of the figure here is painted this sandish color, which looks nice, though again, it just sort of ends right here, which is kind of a shame. And while we're here, there's the scan code and the new Jurassic World logo. Going to the head here, we can see there is some airbrushing around the eye here, which looks really nice. And the eye itself, or the eyes themselves, are painted really nicely. They are painted yellow with black pupils. So again, they look very neat. No paint defects or anything like that. So yeah, the eyes on this figure, just trying to flip it to the other side, look really nice. So yeah, taking a look at the inside of the mouth, we can see that the mouth is a salmon pink, which looks nice. It would have been nice if it had more of a glossy finish to it, but it still looks really nice as is. So yeah, the painting in the mouth looks great. And the teeth, just like with the epic roaring T-Rex that was released last year, the teeth aren't actually painted. These are actually separate pieces. They're rubber. So of course the sculpting here on the teeth is going to look a lot more cleaner and less messy, but we'll talk more about the sculpting later in this video. The toenails here are painted a very dark shade of brown, which looks nice. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in human history, the fingernails are painted. I know this might seem like a very small thing, but this is kind of a big deal because usually with Mattel, or not even just Mattel, even Kenner did this several times. They did not paint the fingernails of their T-Rex figures. So when I saw this figure at, painted fingernails, I was like, wow, that is actually mind-boggling to me. Again, this is a very minor detail, but it's this is big because I said, even Kenner didn't even paint the fingernails here. So to see painted fingernails here is really cool. So yeah, this is great. And Mattel, if they keep doing this, hell yeah, I'm all for it. However, I will say that the dew claws here are not painted either, which they don't have to be, but still very minor. I'm kidding, of course, not a big deal at all. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the painting on this figure. Well, the fingernails are painted, which is, definitely the biggest thing about this figure, but overall, the painting on this figure is actually really nice, like I said, there are some things that I do differently. I would make this sandish color here continue all the way to the tail here, and even these black markings, again, would have been nice if they continued all the way to the end of the tail. But overall, the painting on this figure is really nice for a Mattel figure. You have painted fingernails. I'm sorry, I just can't get over that. This is a big deal because even Kenner didn't do this too often. So seeing painted fingernails on a T-Rex figure is big. So yeah, the paint application on this figure is really good. So the paint definitely gets a pass. So yeah. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the articulation. And the articulation is also pretty cool here. So, as far as just, proper joints, there's not too much. Mainly, it's just the arms here. They can move upwards like so. and downwards like so. And the ankles are on swivels, but that's mainly just to fit this thing in the box. So, yeah. The real gimmick, well, there are actually three gimmicks of this figure, which is really cool. Well, technically 2.5, but we'll get into it. First of all, there's a button on her back here, and when you press it, for some reason, and I don't get why, for some reason, Mattel decided to give this T-Rex Indominus Rex roars. Granted, this isn't the first time Mattel did something like this. When they first started their Jurassic World toy line back in 2018, their Thrash and Throw T-Rex made the same exact sound. So, Mattel, I thought we were over this. Like, stop giving your T-Rex Indominus Rex roars. It makes absolutely no sense. But anyway, we do get two other roars. We have the proper Jurassic World T-Rex roar here, which is nice. And we have a more Jurassic Park sounding T-Rex roar, which is also really nice. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Indominus Rex roar. I think that's pretty bad if I'm being honest, but the other two roars are actually pretty cool. Now, this next gimmick I thought was really cool. So, you take the tail here, and then you just twist it. And it can do like this stomping thing. And I think that is so cool. I remember, back in 2018 with the Thrash and Throw T-Rex, it just had like a little button underneath its foot. And it did the stomping. But here, they actually figured out a way to like make the feet move. And I think that is the coolest thing ever. I absolutely love that. It's great. I will say this though. I think this leg feels a little weak, because when you, or not that leg, when you lift this leg up and it's just straight down, but when you look at this leg here, I'm going to do it here, it sort of like kicks a little. I wish the mechanisms here was a little stronger, but honestly that is not the end of the world. The actual gimmick here is still very cool, and I absolutely love that. So, yeah. But we're not done with gimmicks yet, folks. Oh, no, we're not, because this gimmick here, that has another purpose, and this is probably my favorite part about this figure. For the first time since 1997, we have actual capture gear. Like, I mean, it's not a lot, it's just head restraints, but capture gear. This is great. This is absolutely great. I love this. This is perfect. 10 out of 10. It's just great. I don't know what to say. This is just the best thing ever. I love it. There could have been more capture gear, but we'll talk about that in a second. But let's actually take a look at this. Not too much detailing, but the sculpting is nice. Some metallic bits, which looks cool. These is just 3 solid gray pieces, because of course they break in half. There's the top piece, the bottom piece. And to put them together, very simple. Nothing tabs in or pegs in. It's just kind of things just kind of hang there. So it's easier to fling off. So there's that. And then this piece just kind of goes on like so. So, yeah. And basically what you do here, I'm sorry, I just love this so much. What you do, you open this up, and then you put her head in there. Very self-explanatory. That looks so cool. I absolutely love that. I just love that. I just really love how that looks. The only thing that's missing, it would have been really cool if there were shackles around the legs, and with the stomping gimmick, you could break out of them. I think that'd be really cool. But, this is still great. I'm not complaining. This is the coolest thing ever. And basically what you do, you push the button here, and this thing breaks out. That is the coolest thing ever. We haven't gotten stuff like this since the Lost World Jurassic Park toy line, which, again, came out in 1997. That is just, it's so cool. It is just so cool. I sound like a broken record, but that's literally it. This is just so cool. I love this. More of this, please. This is the coolest thing ever. Like I said, if there were shackles that like the T-Rex should break out of, like just like stomp out of. That would be the coolest thing ever, you know, but this is already great and I love it. So it's just great. So yeah. Anyway, that is it for the articulation on this figure. And the articulation on this figure, not a lot. It's mainly just on like the arms, but like the actual gimmick of this figure is so cool. It's so great. I absolutely love it. It's just amazing. I don't know what else to say. So the articulation and gimmicks here, well, I count the gimmicks as articulation, but the articulation definitely, certainly, absolutely gets a pass. This is just the greatest thing ever. I love it. So yeah. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the sculpt. And the sculpting on this figure is pretty good. I feel like some of the proportions are a little off. I feel like the torso here is a little short. I feel like the tail here is also a little short, but not too short. You know, it's pretty decently length as far as Mattel dinosaur figures go. So yeah, and the head I think is a little too big. But speaking of the head, this is more based off of the, of course, the epic roaring T-Rex for the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous toy line. Again, I'm more of a fan of the Extreme Chomping T-Rex head sculpt, so yeah, that's just more my thing. But the head sculpt here still looks very nice. Speaking of head sculpts, I just want to say, I think for Jurassic World Dominion, I think it's really cool. They're redesigning her head to, or they're redesigning Rex's head to make her look more like like how she looked in the original movie. I think. And it just looks great. But yeah, no, overall, and the feet. The feet could be a little smaller too, but overall the proportions on this figure, like, they look nice, you know? They don't look bad at all. They don't look distracting. I will say this though. On mine, whoops. I'll pick that up in a second. On mine though, this bit in the tail here, mine was kind of messed up because, like, for some reason, like, this part of the tail was, like, warped in there. So it's just, like, this big gap here. And there's still a little bit of a gap there, too. But I was able to fix it with a hair blow dryer. So I just got to push that back in. And, yeah, it looks good now. So just be careful. If you find this figure in the wild, just, like, make sure you check this part of the tail. But other than that, sculpting on this figure is very nice. Again, I'm more of a fan of the original Extreme Chomping T-Rex head sculpt, but overall, the sculpting on this figure looks nice, so I'd say it gets a pass. Now we'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure is amazing. So let's take a closer look. So going to the head here, all the detailing here looks really nice. All the scales and everything like that look very nicely defined, and even the scars in her head here, again, looks great. And even the inside of the mouth has some really nice detailing as well. I don't know if you can see it there. But yeah, some really nice detailing in there. The side of the body here, we just have a lot of creasing and scales and everything like that, which again, just really nicely defined. And even the arms, a very nice bit of musculature here, and all the creases, just, it looks great. Everything here is just really nicely defined, and even in the leg here, all the creases and musculature just looks great. And all the scaling in the feet here, again, just very nicely defined. And the tail has a lot of nice detailing as well. A lot of creases, a lot of musculature. And yeah, everything here just looks really great as far as detailing goes. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the detailing on this figure. And the detailing on this figure is great, you know. It's just great. I love it. So the detailing on this figure definitely gets a pass. So at the end of the day, should you get this? I'd say absolutely, though. This figure, it's still not perfect. There are still some minor things I don't like. For example, the paint. It would have been nice if the paint continued all the way through the tail, but not the end of the world. Also, the plastic, just like with most of Mattel's figures, the plastic here is very thin and very cheap. There's even, like, as you can see there, it's so thin, like, no effort at all. I'm just, like, you know, pushing that into the figure. So, better, like, more, like, sturdier plastic would have been really nice. Thicker, like, better quality plastic would have been really nice, but, you know, it's not the end of the world for me. You know, for a kid, like, maybe I could see this breaking in the future. Maybe, but I could be wrong. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's not like, it's Mattel. They usually do this with the plastic. The plastic is usually, like, thin like that, so it's whatever. But overall, I think this is a great figure. If you're a collector, I'd say definitely get this because this is still very nice looking. And if you get this for a kid, I think they are absolutely going to love this thing to death. I love this thing to death, and I'm 20, so if a kid got their hands on this, yeah, I think a kid would like this very much. Especially with this capture gear ordeal. It's just, this figure is great, and I absolutely love it. As far as prices go, it's only like $40, which, not bad at all. So, yeah. Get this figure if you can. It is fantastic. The watch, like I said, watch this part of the tail because mine was a little deformed, but I was able to fix it. So if you do find this figure in the wild, just like try to look out for this tail here. But yeah. Anyway, now we'll do some size comparisons. Here it is with the Chad of all dinosaur toys, the original Red Rex. So there they are together. Again, like, I love this thing, but this thing is just 10 times better. This is easily one of the greatest dinosaur toys of all time. I just love it. This thing is just great. The Red Rex, instant classic. Though I will say this, the only thing that this figure has over this figure is the painted fingernails. Because even here, on the Red Rex, this beautiful masterpiece figure, I absolutely love it. The fingernails are not painted. Whereas this guy does have painted fingernails, or this girl, she has painted fingernails, so yeah. But overall, this is just a much better figure, and I love it. Like I said before, my favorite Jurassic Park figure ever, so any reason to bring it out for a review is always a plus in my book. Here we have another T-Rex figure that came with capture gear. Here's the Thrasher T-Rex, and this is a Kenner figure that actually did have painted fingernails. I think one of the only ones to have painted fingernails. I know there are like repaints that did, but as far as like first figures, like original molds, this is the first one that I'm aware of. Or only one that I'm aware of, so there they are. Again, I like this figure more, but again, this is still a great figure here. And of course, here we have last year's big electronic T-Rex from Mattel, which at the time I really liked this thing, but yeah, this is now officially Mattel's best T-Rex figure ever. This thing is just great. This isn't bad either, but this is just much better. So, there you go. And of course, here this figure is next to Dr. Billy Grant, and I think they scale very nicely together, very authentic to what we see in the Jurassic World and, Jurassic Park movies. Or Jurassic Park, not like the Lost World in Jurassic Park 3, but, it was supposed to be Rex. You get what I'm trying to say. So, they scale very nicely together, and here is some hand sanitizer. Alright, now that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.